City mayoral candidate Brad Lander is detained for several hours by federal agents after he was seen hanging on to ICE agents escorting a defendant in court. Lander was later released after his assault charges were dropped, but he and other New York Democrats are lashing out following the arrest.
Trump is trying to ratchet up conflict. He wants it to happen. That's what today was about. We have to show up and do things like I did today.
I think it was a disgusting display of the thuggery of Trump's ICE.
Do you want to know what I really think?
Please.
It's bull. How dare they?
Fox News contributor and senior writer for the Washington Examiner, Joe Concha, joins me now. Joe, if this whole situation seems familiar to you, it's because Senator Alex Padilla pulled a similar stunt at Kristi Noem's press conference just last week. And here he is, the senator, crying about his detainment on the Senate floor yesterday. Watch this.
I was handcuffed and marched down a hallway, repeatedly asking, why am I being detained? Not once did they tell me why. I pray you never have a moment like this.
So is this about immigrant rights or winning elections and getting headlines?
Illegal immigrant rights, right, Carly? And let's be very clear about this to answer your question. These arrests were completely contrived and rehearsed. Brad Lander, for example, the first gentleman that you showed there, if you want to call him a gentleman at all, wanted his arrest to happen, as did Senator Alex Padilla wanted his arrest to happen. Look, in Lander's case, he's trailing badly in the polls. He's running for mayor here in New York City, and he knew that the media would portray him as a martyr, as a victim. And sure enough, as you just showed, he did multiple interviews last night, including on MSNBC, CNN Primetime, where he got what was, the equivalent of a rhetorical hot stone massage from the so-called anchors there. Know this, almost all Democrats, not named John Fetterman, will now try to get themselves arrested, too, by obstructing and or assaulting federal officers. So they, too, can get a bunch of media attention and fundraise off of it, as Senator Alex Padilla did 5 minutes after his arrest when he was released. This is cheesy performance art by Democrats. And remember, they're doing this while preventing ICE from arresting those here illegally in the country for committing violent crimes. They are taking the 1% of the countryside on this to try to support these people that should be deported. And they're not going to win any national elections anytime soon if they continue to do this, but it will happen today, tomorrow, next week. We're going to see more Democrats arrested because this plays to the far left extreme part of their base. But again, most Americans know exactly what this is all about, and it ain't about immigrant rights. That's certainly for sure.
I'll tell you the tale of an old boat that was sent to war a few days retirement. Go, Nimitz, go. Beware of where you stick your nose. You must dodge the false flag that will drag us into war. Don't open the door, world war rests on your shoulders. Listen, my critics and quick-witted cynics, beware of the hobbits, shekels, and big all my in orbits, reaching lyrical limits, spitting it ain't timid, screaming don't stick the Nimitz. Save the Nimitz, don't stick out your nose. Save the Nimitz, days from retirement. But guess what, everything will be okay. Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Oh, hump day. Oh, hump day.
We should keep the vibe. We should keep the music going through the show. Can we get the music going for the first 60 seconds of the show, so we can just have a proper camel dance off? Happy hump day to you. Boy, this has felt like a year this week. We're only 3 days into the week. It is Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, June 18th, 2025. Whew, and it's been one hell of a week. Holy smokes. Okay, so we have we have multiple wars on multiple fronts. The war I'm the most concerned about is the war against MAGA. We're going to talk about that on the program here with our friends Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson. Sadly, they're not live on the show with us. Don't worry, we're working on that, and it will happen. But Tucker and Steve Bannon sort of creating an architecture for what is America First. Now, President Trump also, again, the red beating heart of America First, right? He's the man who knit the white letters on the MAGA hat, right? So, like, these two, just like with the Elon situation, I don't want there to be a break. I don't want there to be a civil war. That's what I'm trying to prevent. That's what I want. I want to speak peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. Peace is on the side of the angels, not the people wanting war. So that's our stance on this program. I'm getting way ahead of myself. We're just like excited to do the show today because we've been on a series of massive, historic W's. Another Democrat, a man who is the New York City comptroller and the top Democrat in all of New York. He got arrested by ICE. Oh, and it is a delightful thing to see. The memes are raining down from heaven. ICE is also shooting a lot of riders in the balls. And we're going to cover that interesting trend, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll show you the proof, and you can decide. You know what I mean? Border crossings reach all-time historic low for my lifetime or yours. I don't care if you are 90 years old. You have never seen border numbers this low because you can't really go lower than zero. Oh, wait, I mean, I guess you could deport. I wish they did, Klein, I wish they did the deportation numbers into the border. It should be negative. What are we thinking? ALX. Hey, can we get a graphic of what it would look like if we had like the deportation numbers? Because what we're going to do is we're going to show you a big goose egg for our deportations. But what it really should be is negative numbers, right? Last year it was like 62,000 people in May. This year it should be negative 500,000. That would be a proper number metric. But either way, it's wonderful. And we're going to discuss all of these wins with our dear friend Wesley Hunt from Texas. And GOP conference chair is going to talk to us a little bit about, what's going on with Republicans in the House. Lisa McClain will be on our program for the first time. Exciting times. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who helped shape U.S. monetary policy just released a bombshell book called Our Dollar, Your Problem. In it, former IMF chief economist Kenneth Rogoff warns the U.S. dollar's dominance is under attack. If the U.S. dollar falls, then, everything that you own could be at risk, but especially your savings account and everything you have backed by the dollar. That's like kind of everything. That's why Advantage Gold is giving away a free copy of Rogoff's book to anybody who schedules a one-on-one precious metals appointment. Text Benny to 85545 right now to get that free book, and you'll discover why gold is becoming the number one hedge against a global currency shift. Gold has outperformed the market in a parabolic way, okay? We have never lied to you. We've never wantonly lied to you. This is something that we've been preaching for a long time, and ladies and gentlemen, them's the breaks. That's just the way that the numbers work. Gold has outperformed by over the last 20 years, has doubled the market. So ladies and gentlemen, move or diversify some of your assets into gold, IRA, 401k, into physical gold and silver, tax-free, penalty-free. Get up to $10,000 in free gold and silver with a qualifying account. Get your free copy today while supplies last. Text Benny to 85545, Benny to 85545, or go to AdvantageGold.com. AdvantageGold.com. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Where do we even begin here? Let's start with a couple clips that are solid gold. Okay, that are absolutely solid gold. Guys are getting hit in the nuts, and they're losing their balls, and that's because they're criminals. I'm not sure if they're criminal aliens or not, but they're absolutely criminals. And they're getting hit by rubber beanbag rounds by ICE. Now, I'm not sure if this is something that ICE is training for. If there's like a targeting system, it's like Buck Hunter, right? And then it's you're sitting there with their little plastic shotguns or not. But this is we notice patterns. Pattern recognition is something that we do on this program professionally. And the pattern that we're noticing is guys like this. Here's a guy from his hospital bed saying, I'm losing my balls because I went to an anti-Trump protest.
I shot me in the nuts, and now I'm losing a ball. Surgery is tomorrow.
All right. This would be the proper time for let's do one of these. This is called the F aroundest of times and the fine outingest of times. Here's another dude that says that he was shot in the groin and his testicles are now shattered.
They just kept pushing. Right now, I'm at home. The injury was sustained to my groin. I have a bruised left testicle, and my right testicle was actually shattered. They said that they somewhat fixed it.
Never something you want to hear as a man. Is that what you want to hear, Klein? Yeah, you know, Klein does MMA and professional jiu-jitsu, and you know, I'm sure Klein's been kicking the balls a couple times. Yeah, okay, so you wear protection, but you never want to hear that. You never want to hear that they kind of fixed it after your balls were shattered. Woo, ooh, baby. And we have some footage of it happening. This is footage from inside of LA. We're doing this as a warning. We're doing this as a warning. But as our producer Danny D'Urbina brought up, maybe this is what they want. I mean, there was a vasectomy van at the DNC. Klein was there. There was a vasectomy van, and we went up to the people working it, and they said that they're sold out. The vasectomy van at the DNC said we're sold out, cutting people's balls off. So like the Democrats want this. It is a suicidal cult. I mean, listen, these people, they hate human beings. They hate themselves. It's all rooted in self-loathing. You wouldn't be, here's another example. This dude is wandering around. I just want to play it silently, please. This dude is wandering around after curfew, after like in LA, taunting and harassing the police. He's not supposed to be there. The city's burning. They're on effectively like martial law lockdown. And he keeps taunting the officers. And then the officer says, you know what? Ouch. Ooh. Ow. This guy wrote a whole Substack about how he was shot directly in the balls. Okay, so listen, let's talk about the greater overall problem here for left-wingers. Absolute and total fatigue. Klein, I'm gonna want the tackles on this. I'm gonna want scooter guy tackle, and I'm gonna want like Patriot tackle. Absolute total like Madden 25 level fatigue from the American public for left-wing insurrections. Left-wingers, whether it's the No Kings killer in Minneapolis, or whether it's the riots in LA, or whether it's the guy who shot up the congressional baseball team, or whether it's the people who are sending bullets through Trump's skull. Right? President Trump had a bullet go through his head. The ear is a part of the head. It was a technically successful headshot because you hit Trump in the head. Blood splatters all down his face. God saved President Trump in the most widely seen miracle, I think, in human history. But nonetheless, we are all done with left-wing violence. We watched what happened. Like, we all listened and learned during BLM, and we heard that these people want to kill us and destroy our land. Also, what's interesting is that a lot of these rioters aren't from our land. They're not here legally in our land. They didn't build this place. They don't love this place, and therefore they feel like they have some right to destroy it. I'm going to do something strange here in just a minute. I'm going to play you a clip from The View that I actually agree with. Arnold Schwarzenegger on The View, bodying the women of The View as they shriek like demons, talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about what it means to be a good immigrant to America, and absolutely savaging these anti-ICE protests. Fascinating moment. The most viral clip of yesterday, bar none. Far and away the most viral clip of all of yesterday. But there's fatigue. Here's a dude going down in a scooter. You know, he threw rocks and bricks at cops, and he's traveling. You have to start the clip over. He's traveling down the street in a scooter, and see ya. You know, what I find interesting is that whether it's this guy or the guys who are getting shot in the balls, like none of them are becoming heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's getting the George Floyd treatment here. What I mean by that is, like, no one's being deified. Like, no one's coming to their defense. What you need in order to get a movement like that is you need some type of groundswell of support among the American population. You need to win over the people. And the people have said, I don't want my country to look like this. You can see like some of these riots. Here's a dude who's like was on stilts, decided to fight the cops on stilts. Great idea, dude. Great idea. Fantastic. It's not even the cops having all the fun here. Here's some jackass who decided to throw a bottle at cops, right? He walks off some of the rubber bullets that were shot at him, and then just an all-around American patriot decides to become man of the year and just freaking body him. Look at that. Just see you later. Oh, come on. Give me that. Give me that. Yeah. Here we go. Klein, we've got to get this right where you're not trying to play it and I'm not trying to play it. You see, there we go. Okay. We got to get our timing right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're working sound effects into the show. Don't you worry about it. Okay. Well, we're going to do it live like everything else. Just like yesterday, we had an administration official live. If we're both clicking the button at the same time, it won't work. Yep, it won't work. Okay, so let's do it. Hit it. There we go. Nice. We're going to get our timing right, ladies and gentlemen. Our build is for you, straight out of love directly from our hearts, straight to you. And you'll be able to watch it happen in real time. Man, it's brutal watching videos from the show even like a year ago. We're so proud of like what we've built here, and we thank you for being part of it. But ladies and gentlemen, growing pains. And the growing pains here for the left-wing movement is that no one cares. Okay, so here are a bunch of these are a bunch of rando dirtbags, right? Anti-ICE dirtbags that were just like attacking police, okay? And there's no public foment. There's no public foment. Like, this is happening. Trump said, you spit, we hit. Trump says it. And then the cops followed through. People are losing their balls. They're losing their manhood. Now, I was under the impression that you actually had to surrender your balls before joining an anti-ICE protest and before voting Democrat, frankly, writ large. So I don't even know how that's possible, frankly. Nonetheless, maybe we're doing that. This is either a warning sign for you on the left that you've utterly lost public opinion. You've lost the good graces of the American people. We have total and complete criminal, alien, left-wing Marxist riot fatigue in this country. Or maybe it's a huge service to them because they were filling up those vasectomy vans, weren't they, Klein? They were filling up the vasectomy vans at the DNC. That's right. Chicago gets weird. DNC with abortion trucks, inflatable IUDs, free vasectomies. Conservatives say, I also find it strange when they do that. Why do they have to say conservatives say? Like, it was really happening. Whatever. The point is that, yes, there were massive vasectomy buses there at the DNC, and maybe ICE is just doing them a favor. I'm not sure. I don't know. I know that President Trump is a man of his word. Here's what he said.
When that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military.
Isn't it wonderful to see a president follow through? Even if it's a United States senator. You know, this is what's wild, is like these are all these like dirtbag no-name protesters out there losing their balls. And here's a sitting United States Senator, Alex Padilla, getting arrested. Why? Well, because he did exactly what President Trump warned him not to do. Don't come at our law enforcement. Don't come at our federal law enforcement. This isn't the way that a senator is supposed to behave. I wouldn't like it if this is the way that Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley behaved during the Biden era. Yo, if Joe Biden's giving a press conference, Kamala Harris is giving a press conference, this happened to be Kristi Noem. Okay, fine. If Alejandro Mayorkas is giving a press conference, and Republican senators were bull rushing through their security, I'd have to disavow that senator, whoever it was. Right, if it was Markwayne Mullin, he was on the show yesterday. That dude's pretty stacked. He was a former collegiate wrestler. He's an MMA dude. Like, I would have to disavow him if they were behaving like this, because this is clown behavior. This is clown car behavior here. This kind of stuff. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's happening all across the country. And it's happening all across the country because of one absolutely and totally inescapable reality, which is that we called them out on their great replacement theory. We've called them out. We've cracked the code for what this was all about. And this has been a scheme for decades here. Let's recall how Ronald Reagan destroyed his legacy, atomized his legacy forever by giving 3 million criminal aliens amnesty in California. What an insane thing. Let's look over here to the state of California. You can see it just off the corner right there on our map there, back on our wall in our physical and practical studio here. California used to be a red state. In fact, we had some of the greatest governors in American history in California. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, great presidents. Both of them were good and great presidents. They were both from California, sons of California. California voted red its entire existence in the United States of America. It's always been like a red state. It's always a great pioneering state. Good conservative, John Wayne style, like shoot 'em up cowboy state. It's a great state. Ronald Reagan left his legacy in tatters by granting amnesty because of his lib wife taking advantage of his early stage Alzheimer's at the end. His lib wife was able to bend his arm and probably manipulate and trick him into giving amnesty for all of her like left-wing Hollywood friends, right? The Kardashians of the era. Nancy Reagan, of course, was an actress, not a good actress. She was good enough in order to trick Reagan. And that destroyed his legacy. I'm sorry, but I won't be some type of like Reagan simp on this program. He started the descent into madness for this country because the moment that California saw that they could just get amnesty, the more amnesty they gave criminal aliens, the more goodies they gave them, the more fealty, then it became like a who can give out government goodies faster, and the Democrat Party will always win that because they're socialists at heart in their bones, right? They're Marxists. So the Democrat Party won that race in California and flipped California blue. Will it ever flip red again? I hope so. There's no such thing as a permanent blue state or red state. But are we cooked for a long time in California? Yeah, totally. Because the Democrats then followed that path, and that path led to California flipping blue and then delivering the House for Democrats. Without California, of course, the Democrats have a deficiency of like 50 seats in the House. That's something like more like 30 seats. Alex, can you do the quick math? How many Democrat congressional seats? Can you just chat GPT this? Just AI this. How many congressional Democrats come from California, please? Either way, like this was the model. Once they saw that in the 80s, and they saw like how cucked Republicans were, and that they could like through toxic empathy. 43 Democrats from California. 43 Democrat congressional seats are in California. Do you realize what without this system of importation of criminal aliens to vote for you and illegal ballot harvesting, there is a permanent minority for the Democrats forever. If you were to get rid of this, California alone makes up a quarter of the Democrats sent to Congress. That's how important this model is for them. And we call them out on it. Now, finally, but it's been an operation for a very long time. And the reason why you see people fighting in the streets, the reason why you see so much aggression, we're going to cover this real fast here. The New York City mayoral candidate, Brad Lander, also arrested yesterday. The reason why they're willing to get arrested, here's Brad Lander. Brad Lander was trying to smuggle a criminal alien out of a court in New York. Boy, where have I seen this before? Incredible. This is Brad Lander. He's a bald guy. A doofus. Now he's getting arrested. You don't know Brad Lander. I don't know Brad Lander, but he's the comptroller in New York. It's a very powerful position. He had threatened Mayor Adams with impeachment over assisting President Trump in deportation of criminal aliens. Now, why would you do such a thing? The only reason you would do this is if there was something in it for you. And the only thing in it for Democrats, of course, is power through the manipulation of the criminal alien vote, through the rigging of elections, through fraudulent mail-in ballots that we covered yesterday with the Chinese smuggling who knows how many untold millions of fake IDs into the country in order to rig the election in 2020. We spent the entire show talking about that. The only reason you would fight so viciously for this, like let's say your house is on fire. Like when the house is on fire, when everything's burning, you're going to sprint even through the flames, like to that safe, right? With your most precious items, to that part of the house that holds the things that you can't replace. You're not going to save the sofa. You're not going to save the TV. But there's a block box or a place in your house that has precious, irreplaceable items, family heirlooms, photographs, whatever. You're going to naturally run there and you're going to risk life and limb. And that's what you see Democrats doing across the country, risking life and limb for what? The protection of criminal aliens. That is the Panderstone. That is the Tesseract. That is the cube. That is the key to everything. Whatever you want to, that's the Infinity Stone for them. Without the criminal aliens, without California vomiting 43 different congressional Democrats into the House every single year, and then vomiting 52 different electoral votes into the Democrats column automatically, you don't have a modern Democrat Party. You have a permanent minority. Democrats are a permanent, non-functional minority in American politics without it. Give me that map of reallocation. It's like a map of congressional reallocation. Like, this is why they're fighting for this. Their political lives are on the line. Florida's going to gain 4 electoral votes. Texas is going to gain 5 electoral votes. Tennessee is going to gain 1 electoral vote. Where are they coming from? California, New York. They're losing their minds because of this. Political power is at stake. They must have the criminal aliens here. They have to have them to count the census. The census counts each person's in a congressional district. So that means the census will count criminal aliens. That's the way it's written. It's very sad. We actually studied this. It's how it's written in the Constitution. The census clause is written that every district is counted via person. So you must have a constitutional amendment to change that. It should be one hell of an uphill slog, but it must happen. I mean, it has to happen. President Trump has executive orders on it. You can see here. Look at the states that are losing. Holy smokes. Losing. Crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be really, really bad. This is by the way an old map. This doesn't reflect the 2030. This doesn't reflect the 2030 reallocation. But anyway, the point is that, like, Brad Lander, let's go see what this dumbass did. Brad Lander, according to DHS, this is great. DHS map here. New York City Comptroller Brad Lander was arrested for assaulting ICE and law enforcement, impeding a federal officer. Our heroic ICE enforcement law officers face a 400% increase in assaults against them. It's wrong that politicians are seeking higher office to undermine law enforcement safety in a viral moment. Nobody's above the law. If you lay a hand on a law enforcement officer, you will face consequences. We are at an all-time high for fatigue for criminals attacking police. Now, it's the Simpsons meme, right? Come on, Bart, say the line. Say the line. Everyone laughs, and everyone points and laughs at him. Nobody is above the law. It's the Simpsons meme, right? Here you go. No one is above the law, says Brad Lander in May 30th of 2024, right? When President Trump had a fake BS indictment brought against him and a fake jury finding him guilty in New York. Well, look at this absolute bodying by Homeland Security. No one is above the law. They quote tweet Brad Lander. And if you lay a hand on a law enforcement officer, you're going to face consequences. New York City Comptroller Brad Lander was arrested for assaulting law enforcement and impeding federal officer. You know, again, there's always some dumb jackass. Look at this amazing photo of this guy. Look at this. Oh man, the memes that were made about this photo. Look at an absolute beta cuck till the end. Look at this guy. The Hispanic dude's laughing his ass off as he gets to arrest this doughy twink in New York. It's like if terminally low testosterone was a person, that's what Brad Lander looks like here. All right, we're gonna get to a bunch of different things here, ladies and gentlemen. First, our friend Tricia McLaughlin, who is the spokesperson for Department of Homeland Security, explains what happened here.
Why do Democrats feel they're above the law and that these scuffles work for them? How do you view this?
Brian, if you lay hands on a law enforcement officer or impede their enforcement actions, you will be arrested as just as we saw here. But Brian, even more than that, we're seeing an epidemic of Democrat politicians who are seeking higher office, much like the mayor of Newark, who went and crashed Delaney Hall and tried to get into a secure facility. Then earlier this week, we saw Senator Padilla, a sitting U.S. senator, go and crash Secretary Noem's press conference and aggressively approach her. I mean, this is just the third one in a row. These guys want their 15 minutes of fame, and they want to do it off the backs of our ICE law enforcement officers, and we won't stand for it in this administration. Our law enforcement officers, their safety comes first, and so does the American citizens as well.
You know, so
Okay, Brad Land. Can we hang that? Can we get that? This is like a Rembrandt. This is like an incredible. It's just beautiful. Can we get this up in the studio? I want this photo up in the studio. All right, right next to. Right. What a slob. These people, they're such slobs. You know, it's really. I'm a big believer in physiognomy. You know, these guys, they got like real unresolved personal issues. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't check their search history kind of guys. Gross. It really is like, it really is that though. And then we here's Hannah, you know, you have Hannah Dugan, and we have, there you go. You have Hannah Dugan, right? We've talked about this. Hannah Dugan is this like childless cat lady lib, right? She's this childless cat lady boomer. She's got nothing going on. She got nobody who loves her. She has to jump on to the next thing. That's why she has a Ukrainian trident. Could you imagine going into a courtroom and the judge has a Ukraine trident on their desk and Abe Lincoln is masked? They have nothing. But you're still going to have the same, because you are a human being, you're still going to have it baked into your bones, the desire for family and the desire for meaning and purpose in life. And in a very warped, dystopian, and sick, demonic way, these people replace the children they should have had, the functional families that they should have had, that gives like love and joy, springs eternal. They replace that with criminal aliens. Because really what procreation is about is the passing on of your value system. It's not really like the passing on, like, it's not about the passing on of your genes necessarily, because you have like the little short parents with like these 7 foot tall kids. Like, you don't know how your kids are going to, you know, necessarily turn out looking. I got 4 kids. All of them have different color eyes. All of them have different, like crazy hair colors, right? Like it's wild. It's cool. It's like, it's neat. But like that, it's really about the past. But here's what I can assure about them. They will be Christians, right? I'm raising them as Christians. They will love their country. I should ask my wife for a photo. My daughter came running downstairs saying she's the American flag this morning, wearing a red, white, and blue dress. She's 4 years old. She's going to like put on her own dress. She could choose her own dress. She went running through the kitchen wearing a red, white, and blue dress, saying, I'm the American flag, right? Because we learn about our country. We learn how precious this place is and how privileged you are to be an American in my household. We teach these things. We read books. I can pass on that value system. I can ensure is guaranteed locked in for my kids. So it's really about like preservation of your values. That's what parenthood is. That's what procreation is. And so when you watch videos like this, here's Hannah Dugan smuggling a criminal alien spousal abuser. This guy was a monster. He's a monstrous woman abuser. He beats women for a living. And Hannah Dugan knows that ICE is waiting for him. Hannah Dugan comes out and starts shrieking at ICE the way that you would protect your own kid, right? If your kid's sitting in the train tracks, right? In the middle of the train tracks, like there's not anything you wouldn't do to protect your own kids. Here's Hannah Dugan in her triple XL black robes, looks more like a, spirit Halloween tent, and is out here like shrieking, yelling at ICE, directing them as she smuggles the criminal alien through her private judge's quarters. It's a sick and dystopian worldview, but like it's the way that they view the world through vectors of power. And they need as many criminal aliens as possible in order to rig elections. And that's what it is. And to pass like these unhappy, neutered, vasectomied libs, they view them as their family. They view them as the only way that they're going to be able to pass on their worldview. That's why you have people literally adopting Tren de Aragua members. Here's a judge from New Mexico. This Democrat elected judge from New Mexico, here he is with the Tren de Aragua member in his household. They're like, can you get the one with them partying in the backyard? They all have Coronas. The guys have tattoo tears on their faces. And this Democrat judge is like just chilling with my homies. It's like a SNL skit, like a Steve Martin movie. I mean, it's unbelievable. When he was arrested with his wife, what did they say? They were arrested for housing these criminal aliens and these gang members. And what they said was they were really good at cleaning my pool. I kid you not. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Time is a flat circle. This dude, this white Democrat judge in New Mexico, lib, said, you know what? These guys are good at farm. They're good at yard work. That's what he said. That's what he told the authorities. They're really good at doing my yard and cleaning my pool and doing the dishes. It's like, bro, dude, you guys are the Confederates. You're neo-Confederates is what you are. They're just it's the same thing. They're neo-Confederates. They want slave labor. They want exploitative slave labor. And they're going to house them on their little plantations. They're getting arrested for it. And this is what scares them the most. Here's the proper map. Thank you. This is the proper map. Texas, 4 seats. Florida, 4 seats. Look at those red states going strong. Georgia, 1. Tennessee, 1. North Carolina, 1. Major losses, California. Is that -5 right there? Yep. Okay. Oregon, lib state. Look at those other red states like Idaho gaining. Incredible. Idaho, Arizona went hard red for Trump. Big losses in Minnesota, Illinois, New York. This is a crisis. This is a crisis. Goodness. Is that -1 seat for Rhode Island? Yep. Wow. Goodness. I thought so. Rhode Island had more than 1 congressional seat. Interesting. That is a crisis, ladies and gentlemen, for libs. And this is why. Okay, so we're just trying to lay the groundwork here. More importantly, we have now elected Democrats in federal elections because of this map, because they're so scared of this map, losing their minds. Now, we already played you Alex Padilla. Getting put on his knees after bum rushing the Department of Homeland Security secretary, who's in charge of, who's actually the largest, she oversees the largest federal police force in the country. She has ICE, Border Patrol, Customs Agents, TSA, Secret Service, all underneath her. So a really stupid person to bum rush. Anyway, Alex Padilla yesterday was weeping on the Senate floor, crying. And we from the rooftops saying, we got to salt this lib. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, get your salt shakers out. Here's Alex Padilla after getting put in handcuffs properly by federal authorities, deciding that he's somehow the victims. If you're new here, we salt our libs. When libs cry, we're so kind, we give them extra salt. And we do that in the comment section where we drop salt emojis. So please, ladies and gentlemen, salt this lib.
I was forced to the ground. First on my knees, and then flat on my chest. And as I was handcuffed and marched down a hallway, repeatedly asking, why am I being detained? Not once did they tell me why. I pray you never have a moment like this. But I will tell you, in that moment, a lot of questions came to my mind. First of all, where are they taking me? Because I know I'm not just being escorted out of the building. Am I being arrested here? And what will a city already on edge from being militarized think when they see their United States senator being handcuffed just for trying to ask a question?
Bro, this would work if we were in the print era, but we all have video of you you're like a psychotic ex-girlfriend, screaming and rushing the field, trying to get after your baby mama, it's like baby daddy. You got baby daddy problems here. All right, this is real. This is real serious psychotic behavior. You're a senator. Grow up. Have some pride. Behave like an adult. Enough children, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody who has behaved like an adult, somebody who's fought for our country, somebody who's damn proud of this country, and is always shot straight with us is the great Wesley Hunt of Texas, joining us live now. Congressman, have you been crying for Alex Padilla? He's asking for your tears.
Brother, Apache pilots don't cry or stuff like that, man. Get out of here. You know how we roll. We are way tougher than that. When I see that, it's just how hyperbolic can you be? How dramatic can you be? And what if I behave this way? What if we behave this way? I think you hit the nail on the head about these people just behaving like adults. Like, be an adult. You are a legislator. But one thing I do want to talk about here real quick, Benny, before we move on to the next topic is this. What's really funny? Barack Obama was known as the deporter in chief. He deported millions and millions of people. Now, because he's a Democrat and because Barack Obama deported people and said, pretty please with the cherry on top, all of a sudden it's okay. But when President Trump and Tom Homan want to reverse the ills of 20 million people entering our country illegally, and we're doing it with a strong hand, now all of a sudden you're seeing all the crocodile tears pour out. I remember Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton talking about having a secure border. I remember them talking about immigration. I remember these days were 80s babies, brother, 80s, 90s, back when they were like real men, you know what I mean? And I remember people talking about these very issues, but now when Trump does it, they're having these crazy meltdowns. And what that tells me is they have nothing to run on. You see, brother, eggs are back down. The border is now secure. Yesterday, we had the lowest number of crossings across our southern border in decades. The economy is going very well. The tariff thing, what about tariffs? Nothing. You have nothing to run on. You are absolutely rudderless. So now what do? You are a legislator and you are literally crying in court and acting like a complete fool, knowing that you're wrong because you're defending illegal people. These people broke the law by being here illegally. This is what happens. We have 4 years of an open border and now we're fixing it. Get over it.
So, yeah, but I'm a little concerned about the number of Democrat elected congressmen and women like LaMonica, who's now been indicted on 3 separate charges, facing 17 years in prison. Somehow she's still allowed to serve on some of the, potentially she serves on committees with you. I'm not sure. But that seems insane. What's going to happen to LaMonica?
I have absolutely no idea. I think we're back in session next week. This is still an ongoing situation. And if I'm not mistaken, it's still an ongoing investigation. And just like you said earlier, we have the tapes, we have the receipts, we know what you did. We saw.
Yeah, she was indicted. So you can't. So it's like the same thing as George Santos, right? He was indicted and then he gets kicked out of Congress. Would you be in favor of kicking her out of Congress?
An investigation and another process within Congress with the ethics committee and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's still ongoing from that standpoint.
So would you vote to kick her out of Congress?
What kind of question is that? What kind of question is that, brother? Of course I would vote to. Of course I would. Are you kidding? I'm the guy that said LaMonica needs to go to jail accountable for her love behavior. Okay, so
oh shit! All right, yeah, you're right.
Here's actually what I know.
I'll put it on a shirt.
If I behaved that way, I would be gone.
That's true. That's true, dude. Again, I think it's humiliating. I would not be in favor of you, and I know you work out. I would not be in favor of you bum rushing Kamala Harris, right? In her security, screaming. I would think that would be you'd look like a fool. I think you'd look silly. Now, if you were to do this to Mayorkas is truly a detestable human being. Yeah. But if there was footage of you trying to shoulder bum rush his security, then we'd have to disavow that on the show because it's not how adults act, right? It's not how professionals behave.
Correct.
It's how man-children behave.
Correct. And then also, Benny, I represent roughly 1 million people in the suburb of the greater Houston area. Mm-hmm. And by representing them, I cannot behave that way because at the end of the day, these people look to me to lead them. And they may not agree with what I say. They may not agree with everything that I do. Most people in my district do, thank God. That's why I'm sitting here. But the one thing that you will always say is Wesley is a professional. He is not going to conduct his But he's not going to conduct himself this way by bum rushing law enforcement officers.
Yes,
Come on.
that's right. That's right. Okay, so Texas, I love putting up this map. Texas is going to gain a bunch of congressional seats.
Yeah.
That's going to be very good. Florida as well. All of these seats are being depleted from New York and California, and I think this is what's causing the panic. I think this is what's causing this existential crisis that is like really brain snapping for these people because they're watching their power get whittled away. Now, part of the reason why they needed that open border, and the man who funds the Open Society Foundation that's in favor of open borders is George Soros. Part of the reason why they're so desperate to keep the criminal aliens here is obviously the census. They're losing power because of the census. We had Anna Paulina Luna on the other week, and she said she's going to be calling for George Soros to come in. She's going to subpoena George Soros and have him come in and testify. And it's time for him to answer for his crimes against humanity here in this country. You're also on the Judiciary Committee with APL. Do you agree with this?
Of course, I agree with this. I mean, George Soros has been a problem for this country for a very long time, and he has interfered with our elections. He has funded Democrats down to the county level in order to flip counties and flip cities. We know for a fact that he is responsible for a lot of the mayhem that we have seen happen all over our country. We know he is probably somewhat responsible for the summer of love that we saw take place and ravage our country a few years ago. So when I think about even this map, what it looks like and how the free state of Texas and the free state of Florida are certainly leading from the front, what you have to understand is people are coming to our states and they're fleeing here because these are conservative states that President Trump won by over 10 points. This goes back to them being rudderless. If Trump is the boogeyman, and if he is so bad, why are people fleeing the states that he won overwhelmingly? Why? First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, especially in Texas. It's good for business. It's low taxes. You can live your own life freely in these states, and that's why people are coming here. I see a lot of my fellow Texans say something like this, don't California my Texas. If you leave California, don't bring your politics with you. What we are finding out is that Californians that are fleeing California, they come to Texas and they're voting red. And that's exactly why when you're seeing us add 4 seats, the 3 of those 4 seats, if not 4 of those 4 seats, are going to be Republican seats. You are correct. They tried to flood this country with illegal immigrants and expecting brown people to automatically vote for Democrats just because they came in under a Democrat regime. I think what they are finding out at the southern border and at those border towns in Texas that they supported Trump as well. And do you know why? Because those are legal citizens that view themselves as Americans first. And yes, they are proud Hispanic Americans as well, but they're backing Trump because these are people that have been working here for years. They've gotten their green cards. They've had to work hard. They've had to earn their way to be in this country. They pay taxes in this country, and they don't care what you look like. You don't get to walk across the border and get a free ride when they had to work for it. So they are in full meltdown mode right now because we're going to be gaining seats in those 2 seats. And by the way, those 2 seats, that's the difference in having the majority in the House of Representatives today. So yes, they are terrified. They're having a full meltdown.
Yeah, they're having a full meltdown. If you put that map up against this interesting map from our friends at Newsmax that shows you where no voter ID is required, you'll find a perfect 1-to-1 correlation. We love this map. These are the states that Kamala won, and every state that Kamala won has no voter ID. Every state that Trump won has voter ID. It's a pretty easy correlation to see there. George Soros, again, is somebody who has been meddling in our elections and pushes for these kind of radical policies and sues states, and his organization sues states for this. And so, it'd be really nice. It'd be really nice to get a little bit of a drumbeat to finally subpoena Soros, his son, and to get some answers about the rigging of our elections. I want to cover some of the stuff that Kash Patel dropped yesterday, but it's really nice to see that. Do you know if other members are set to potentially are in favor of subpoenaing George Soros?
I actually don't know. This is actually the first I've heard of it. I love the idea, and APL is a very good friend of mine. She's absolutely brilliant. And so I love the idea of at least bringing him forward and questioning him. And I don't know what we could actually ultimately do with him, but we need to expose him for who he is and for what he's done.
Right.
I also say this too: Democrats are actually very crafty. You talk about voter ID, you talk about voter laws. Not even a year ago, I had a someone from Austin that was testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee that was talking about how much more difficult it was for Black and brown people to attain an ID to go vote. Now, they are using racism and they are using race bait to keep Black and brown people on the Democrat plantation by making it seem like it's more difficult for Black and brown people to attain an ID to vote, which is insulting because getting an ID to vote is a very low bar in this country. And every single person that casts a vote to vote for leadership in this country should have an ID, period. And I don't care what you look like. And if you think that Black and brown people cannot get one, that makes you the racist. Because I have a lot of people in my family and they're all Black. And every last one of them has what? A government issued ID. Stop falling for the games. Stop falling for the race bait. Stop falling for the Soros-funded states that want to destroy this country. Every single person should have a legal ID issued by the United States government if you want to vote in leadership. And I don't give a damn what you look like.
There's the rap horn. Okay, very good. That's a nice, good job, Clyde. All right, we're adding sound effects. Okay, I was like, we're gonna have to talk about doing it during live interviews, but yes, okay. I like it. Listen, here's the rap horn from yesterday. Kash Patel dropping a massive bombshell about evidence that there was a huge voter fraud operation run by the CCP to bring in fake voter IDs in order to get mail-in ballots from the Communist Chinese Party. Have you, on the Judiciary Committee, obviously this would be something that would be a huge, could potentially be a massive problem and a huge security problem for our nation. Have you guys looked into this? Are we going to be like seeing any investigation potentially into the mass voter fraud in the 2020 election?
Talking to Jim Jordan about this. My guess will be next week in our meeting. I'm sure this is going to come up. Obviously, we're laser focused on getting the big, beautiful bill through because it's going to come back to the House. That's our number one focus. But once that gets done after summer recess, I don't know how we don't address this very important issue that has impacted our country. But Benny, I've watched your show a lot. I watched you often. You are a believer in God.
Yes.
I too am a believer in God. And I bring this up because if you think about what happened in that 2020 election that was taken from us, that was obviously stolen from us, and then now we're seeing the facts come out about what happened back then. Aren't you glad we lost that election so we could have President Trump come back and do what he is doing right now so he can sit back, watch, and learn, and America can learn about what happens when we're led by Democrats, and let's bring the boss back so we get our country back on track. That's how God works. And so what I want people to understand is this: you got to trust the process. God still has his hand on this country. And at the end of the day, we're going to rectify these issues and get it right. To your point, we have got to look into this. If the CCP and if Russia is meddling in our elections in order to save Democrats and in order to not allow the duly elected president that was seeking re-election back in 2020 to come back and serve the term that he deserved and earned,
yes,
we have got to look into this because it can't ever happen again in this country. God gave us the mulligan, and now it's time for us to protect it.
God gave us, yes, the most widely viewed miracle of all time, which is President Trump surviving that assassin's bullet.
You got it.
I'm telling you, I know people that came to Christ because of that. I know people that actually oh man, it's wild.
Saved our country.
And
he saved our country.
Yeah.
I mean, if that goes a different way, we're in a very different place in this world. Thank God. Thank God that he spared they spared the president's life.
So really quickly, I have to ask. Obviously, this is a show that focuses very domestically and is very America First show. But we're gonna zoom out diplomatically here and talk about Iran just really quickly, since you did serve in these theaters of war. You were in Iraq. You were a helicopter pilot. You did fight wars for this country in that region. Iraq borders Iran, right? And a considerable portion, obviously, as we've said on the show, like a considerable portion of the munitions that were used against American troops came from Iran. Yes. If you know somebody who had their Humvee blown up, that was an Iranian bomb, right? And probably Iranian sabotage. And nobody wants them to have a nuclear weapon. But we also didn't vote for more war, and we didn't vote for forever war, and we certainly didn't vote to go do regime change again in the Middle East. So how are you what's your take on this, Congressman? Because that
it hits
that's
home to me
horrible.
directly because I have many of my West Point classmates that are no longer alive because of Iran, because of Qasem Soleimani, because of the IEDs that they did ship across the border. But I will tell you this, Benny, welcome to the new Trump Republican Party. Let's keep in mind, if this were 30 years ago, and if it were Bush and Cheney and many of the other neocons, we would already be invading the Middle East for what? I am somebody that fought in this war, and the only thing President Trump is talking about is what? Iran should not have a nuclear weapon, and we are not putting boots on the ground. And the days of us nation building and rebuilding countries and toppling regimes are over under President Trump. President Trump told them 60 days ago, you better wrap this up and cut a deal. Now, if you want to play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. President Trump actually wants peace in that region. He doesn't want to topple the Ayatollah. What he wants is peace, but you can't have peace with a nuclear weapon. And just like Denzel Washington said, do you want to go home or do you want to go to jail? We aren't talking about putting boots on the ground. We are talking about them not having a nuclear weapon and ensuring that they don't. And you know why they can't have one? Because they said they would use it against Israel and the devil. Do you know who the devil is in their eyes? The United States of America. That's it. That's the red line that we have drawn. So what I really want people to know, I know this has kind of become a hot button issue. This isn't nation building. I'm sorry. Last I checked, I haven't seen brigades of soldiers getting on C-5s and C-130s. I haven't seen us saber rattling at all in this country. President Trump has said you cannot have a nuclear weapon. He's been saying it for decades. No one disagrees with that because they will use it. And this is where we are. And I want people to compare President Trump to where we were 30 years ago at this point. Trust me, if Dick Cheney were still in charge, we would have invaded the Middle East by last December before Christmas.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, let the cake bake, let President Trump negotiate. And by him telling the Ayatollah on truth, I know where you are. Imagine being the Ayatollah every day, waking up in the morning, wondering if I'm going to have a missile for breakfast with a side of hummus. Now we are negotiating. Now it's time to bring them back to the table. And my guess is in due time, they will bend the knee and we are not going to have to invade the country. No more nation building. President Trump knows what he's doing. Trust the process.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. You bring up a great point. If this were Bush and Cheney, we'd be invading Switzerland at this point, right? Like Turks and Caicos would have been nuked. Like it's right. Like Disneyland would have been fully invaded. Like, and they would have welcomed us as liberators. Remember, did they welcome you as liberators, Congressman, when you were in Iraq?
No, they did not. And this is the lesson that we have to learn. And just because we have a Judeo-Christian background here with Christ-like values in our country, that's not how the world works. This is why President Trump is negotiating with the heavy hand, because these are people that still believe in public killings and public beheadings and public behandings for stealing stuff. This is a different culture. It's not like our culture. And while we think we can be the savior of everyone, that's not how this works. And that's why I love what President Trump is doing. Nobody is talking about putting boots on the ground. I saw Pete Hegseth just the other day address 82nd Airborne, and he said, if we send you to war, it's going to be a worthy cause. See, Pete and I fought in a war. I've lost classmates in the war, and I watched mission creep. I watched this go from destroying the Taliban to all of a sudden nation building. See, the people that President Trump has surrounded himself around, like JD and like Pete, these people fought in these wars. We don't want to go back to that. President Trump has been campaigning on this for the last 12 years. And guess what else, too, brother? He's been saying this for the last 40 years since he did an interview with Oprah Winfrey back in the 80s. He doesn't want to start new wars. He's not starting a new war. He's drawn a line in the sand. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and you have a choice, plata or plomo. I hope he chooses wisely.
I have a choice for you to end this interview, and it's a tough one. This is probably the toughest question I've ever asked you, and we've done dozens of interviews. Yeah. What is your favorite, very mean Trump smack talk? Is it Trump saying my red button works to Kim Jong-un? Is it Trump giving Abu a photo of his house? Abu, why do you give me a photo of your house? Yeah. Or Abu, don't cry.
Abu, don't cry.
Or is it he died like a dog? Up till the Ayatollah tweet, those were the three meanest Trump shit talks.
Yes.
To world leaders. Red button, Kim Jong-un. Abu with the Taliban.
Yeah.
A story that you told and went viral for.
Yes.
And then, Abu, he died like a dog. Cry baby Baghdadi.
I have to go with the story that I told, obviously, because whenever you hand somebody a photo of their home, like, I know where you live. I mean, that's the most gangster thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't think anything tops that. However, again, the Ayatollah right now, reading that truth, wondering to himself, I mean, am I going to have a Moab for breakfast? He doesn't even know it. He has no idea. So this is how this man negotiates. I know where you are. You're only alive because I'm allowing you to be alive. So do you want to talk peace or not? Because if not, you're going to have a really, really rough morning by your second prayer. And at the end of the day, that's how these people respond to that level of strength. Let me ask you a question, Benny. Do you see Kamala Harris being able to negotiate this way? Do you see Joe Biden being able to negotiate this way?
No, Kamala would say
all this happened because these people have no strength and they have no teeth, and everyone knows it.
Yeah, Kamala would say, do not come. Do not come.
And President Trump is saying, I'm going to come.
I love this show. Oh, man. I love this show. Yes, that's exactly right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the great Wesley Hunt, Congressman Wesley Hunt. When you hear the high note, you just got to end on the high note. Here we go. Follow the congressman. 350,000 Americans.
Many thanks to you, brother.
Yeah, 350,000 Americans already follow the great Wesley Hunt. Follow the man who fights for us. Make sure that he has the gunpowder to keep fighting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Congressman.
God bless you and your beautiful family, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Same. Boy, all right. Producers are telling me that there's some interesting backgrounds going on right now. Yeah, it's like it's the congressman, right? We have the conference chair for the Republicans in the House, Lisa McClain, who will be joining us in just a second. And, she'll have to answer for Wesley Hunt. And he's the man who's making the memes. He's making the memes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are making sure that you have a bright American future on this program. Before we welcome the Congresswoman to our program, American Financing is the company that we trust to make sure that we are able to get our house in order. Isn't that what we're talking about? Right? The U.S. house, our nation as a home, but our personal home. The beautiful thing about America is that we have the highest home ownership rates in the world. Americans love private property. This is the reason why this country was founded. In fact, none of the American colonies worked. This is one of my favorite pieces of history. None of the American colonies worked until the companies, the Jamestown company, started offering land. They were offering land to the people that would come here. If you came here and you worked in Jamestown, you'd get land. Like, having private property is baked into our bones. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be in debt. Use your private property, use your home equity to get out of debt. My friends at American Financing can help you do that. They're saving Americans on average of $800 a month. No upfront fees, no pressure. It'll cost you nothing to find out how much you can save. Unlock the value in your home equity today and get out of debt. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, so much to talk about. So many, goodness gracious, I'm just scrolling through all of the breaking news here on the program. But let's jump right over to our next guest. We're honored to have the Republican conference chair, very big time position here on the show, the great Congresswoman from Michigan, Lisa McClain, joins us live now. I'm going to hold off from Kamala Harris jokes. I'm going to do it, Congresswoman. I'm going to hold off. Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, we have a frozen shot here. So we're going to go back into the green room here, and we're going to work on having the Congresswoman join again. That's just the way it works sometimes. In case you're wondering if our show's live or if we pre-tape. Okay, like everyone else. If we need a minute, there we go. All right.
we go.
Okay. There we go. And now we're back. You were frozen. You were frozen like Joe Biden there for a second. We're like, oh my God, we booked Joe Biden. Oh no.
I know. Well, it is almost noon, so I haven't had a nap yet. So right.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. We have this crazy clip from Joe Biden from this morning. I don't think we should play it right now, but like he's walking into a bar. He put it up on the side. He's walking into a bar in Philadelphia, and some lady like tries to shake his hand, and he goes, "Aren't you glad I'm alive?" It's like the weirdest thing. It's like the weirdest thing ever. Here, can you like?
Thank you.
It's an honor, sir. It's an honor.
Sir,
It's an honor.
Who's your reaction? Mother or your father?
Listen to this.
Is she alive?
Please stop. I'm lying.
Oh,
I did think you were lying.
What's your response?
Aren't you glad I'm alive?
Oh my!
Aren't you glad? I did think you were alive. I am alive. It's a weird, really weird, like a weird flex, bro.
You can't make this up. I mean, fact is better than fiction so many times, right?
Yeah, strange. Okay, all right. So let's get cracking here. The Doge cuts. Congratulations on getting those passed. That must have been quite a battle for you. I know that they were. Can you expound for us as conference chair? Like, why was that so hard to get Republicans to vote? Are we going to get a bunch of NPR shows from a bunch of Republican congressmen? Like, I don't get it. Are they going to be Muppets? Are we going to make Muppets out of various members of the House?
It's 9.4 billion. If we can't cut 9.4 billion from our budget, we are in a grave danger. And listen, here's the problem. And this is my opinion, not as the conference chair, but here is my opinion, is everybody wants to cut spending, right? Oh, except when it's in my district. This is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. We all ran on we have a spending problem. This is 9.4 billion. It's a rounding error. I mean, NPR, there's other public radio stations. And you know what? NPR has money. If they want, they can fund themselves. This is a no-brainer. I'm ready to cut spending. I think a lot of American people are ready for us to cut spending because let me ask you this. I don't think you can find one person on either side of the aisle, this might be a bipartisan issue, that thinks the government runs so efficiently that we can't save a dollar. I mean, come on. So this, I believe, will be the first of many. The first one's always the toughest, but I think we got everybody in line and bring on the cuts because we need them.
Yeah, I still have yet to hear, I'm open to arguments, right? So right now we're trying to keep an open mind when it comes to, give the president room to run and some faith on this issue. Like with war, we happen to be like very anti-war on this channel. We don't like it. We've seen our friend, we grew up right in all these forever wars. And so it's like no good, for us, but we're trying to keep an open mind. And I'm open to good faith arguments. So is there a good faith argument to having our tax dollars fund NPR?
No, if there is one, I don't know what it is.
Anybody made that? So you'd have to, in your position, you'd have to have heard someone try and make an argument to keep NPR funded for Republicans. Like, what the hell is that argument?
Yeah, it was mainly on the Democratic side, but we have some members that are in moderate districts that believe they want NPR. I mean, I can't connect the dots. It doesn't make sense to Lisa McLean. But at the end of the day, I think all but two got in line and we passed the bill. And that's what I'm trying to focus on is, we have a very diverse conference. We got to remember that. We have a 3-vote majority. And at the end of the day, there's going to be something that somebody doesn't like. We live in here's my political answer. We live in a representative government and we all should represent our districts. But at the end of the day, if you dig down into the facts, it's not like we're putting them out of business. They have funding, right? We're just cutting some of their funding, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I mean, let them survive. You're saying it's only $9 billion. I'm like, can you kick us a couple billion? For this show, we get zero. In fact, we have to pay the federal government handsomely every year to keep operating our little media company. So that seems it seems like prima facie unfair, actually. That the left gets lavished with billions of dollars of federal funding, yet people who we have a much bigger audience and platform than NPR and PBS, and they get all this money. That seems insanely unfair.
And then we try and the left tries to shut you down.
Yes, correct.
So not only do you not get the money on the conservative radio stations, we actually try to stifle your voice. Correct. So it's even worse than that.
Yeah, it's
conservative
insane.
Media is taboo. It's like a dirty word now.
We're happy that you got it funded. We're thankful for the work that you're doing. What happens in the Senate? We're hearing some very, very dangerous rumblings from some of our friends over there that this is going to get torpedoed, that they don't have the votes right now to just pass the Doge cuts. What's going on? Have you heard?
I think we've seen this movie, play out over and over again. Everyone is trying to represent their district. They're going to get up and say, I can't vote for it. I can't vote for it. I can't vote for it. Right up until the time we put the bill on the floor. And then you got to make a choice. What's the alternative? Do we all wish the bill cut more? Do we wish it was better? Yeah. But at the end of the day, they end up voting for it because it's the best bill that there is that we can get 218 votes for. So again, I think we've seen this movie. We all know how it ends. I'm an optimist by nature. I truly am. I think we're going to get more Doge. We have to get more Doge cuts. Yes. We have to codify those Doge cuts. That's what the American people elected us to do, was to get our financial house in order. And that's what we're doing.
Yes. Yes, the audience on the show really wants to get this America, put America first, because Congresswoman, we have a lot of problems in this country, and we'd like to see those problems solved, right? We'd like to see President Trump's agenda codified into law, before we go on any wars of adventurism or whatever. Can't we focus here? Right now, LA is burning to the ground. In your home state, right? Obviously, there are problems. This is something that we covered yesterday, but I'd like to chat about it today. In Michigan, there are allegedly dozens of cases of aliens or people that are not legal citizens voting in the state. There's at least one that has federal charges, a Chinese student. And lo and behold, this Chinese student not only was able to vote, but his vote counted. Yeah. I wonder who he voted for.
Shocker.
Yeah, it's a real, it's a real shocker. Probably the lady, probably for the lady that says "do not come," and and that vote got counted. And your Secretary of State said, "Sorry." We just have, we're just going to count the criminal alien votes or the, non-U.S. citizen votes. And now she's looking at dozens of other cases of this. Kash Patel drops information yesterday to Congress saying China had a massive fraud campaign that they had evidence of to fake IDs, mail-in ballots, big problem in Michigan. Can you talk to me about how are you going to secure the elections in your home state?
Yeah, huge problem. So let's just start with that. And I always say perception's 90% of reality. So let's start with, we have a voter trust problem. The people in Michigan, you can say nationally, but I'll talk about the people in Michigan don't have faith and trust in the election system. That's a problem. We need to do a better job for them, not only in the state of Michigan, but nationally. We've talked about it. We could do a whole show on this, right? As much as I want to look forward, we have to clean up the mess, and we have to provide people, the American voters, with trust that their vote counts and only legal vote counts. That's why I will say we did our job in the House. We passed the SAVE Act. Now, I know it's a little outrageous, obviously, to require a valid form of official ID to vote. I get that's super outlandish. The voter suppression on that, holy mastacholi, let's just slow down. But we did our job on that. The states need to do their job on that, and the Senate needs to pass the bill, because this at least will take care of the federal elections. Let's control what we can control, and then let's try and influence what we need to influence. But do you notice all of these ballots only go one way? Does that not give anyone pause for concern? It's not like 50-50 or one district goes red and the other district goes blue. No, it's like 90% all go blue. Gee, that's really coincidental now, isn't it? We got to do better. We did our job in the House. It is time for the Senate to pass the SAVE Act so the president can sign it. We can secure our federal elections. Then we can put an enormous amount of pressure on the states. But we've got to get it fixed, period. End of conversation.
Yeah, everyone remembers. Everyone remembers the the videos from 2020. We've had this graph up yesterday, and we had senators and congressmen responding to it. This crazy graph that there's 20 million brand new Democrats that vote in 2020, and then they disappear. They didn't exist before 2020. They don't exist after 2020. And you saw the videos of the vans. You saw the videos of the vans in Wayne County, right? Like going in, and you saw the people putting up the plywood so no one could watch. And it just seems so damn creepy. You're talking about like the trust factor. Well, anybody else looks at this and says, someone's juicing, right? If this was a professional athlete, you'd say, they're juicing, you know?
Oh,
like this was the steroid year.
Sure.
This is the home run derby, right?
Well, it's like Venezuela. Here's the thing for me. You're telling me that more people voted for Joe Biden than Obama.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's the official story,
Come
right?
Come on, man. But
Come on.
I mean, it just, but here's the beauty. Here's the beauty. And I remind everybody, we still won. Even though they tried to lie, cheat, steal, rig the elections, think about it. We lied, we cheated, stole, tried to rig the elections, tried to put the candidate in jail, right? Weaponize the DOJ, silence conservative social media. Just out of curiosity, Benny, what does that sound like? Does that sound like America, or does that sound like a third world country? Sounds like a third world country to me.
Sounds like a king, Congresswoman. Sounds like they want a king, actually, to be able to strip us of our rights. Okay. Well, there's somebody who came and kissed the ring, let's just say, as your governor. It was our favorite photo, probably, of the entire new Trump era. This is like just primo content right here. And she didn't just do it once. She talk about a binder full of women. I don't know if that's, Mitt Romney's from Michigan too. So, maybe that's what she was finally delivering, the binder full of women. Here she is speaking at the Trump rally. Incredible. Gretsch, Governor Gretsch has really done quite a turn here. Any thoughts on this? Where were you when this was? Were you in the audience, or you must have been watching pretty closely?
I was actually in the Oval Office when she was meeting with President Trump.
Wow!
So that was, and I will share with you, he is brilliant. He's brilliant. Bringing her there, getting her on camera, and she got absolutely crucified by her own party. Then, she's at the rally, so to speak, and they're presenting, they're talking about suffrage and all the good things that we're doing for suffrage. And then he's like, come on up, Gretchen, come on up, Governor Whitmore, you want to say something? She was mortified, which is brilliant on his part. Brilliant. Right? Why are you so ashamed? Right? If this is good, I mean, say it loud, say it proud, right? You should be proud of it. You should want your picture taken. Yeah, it's politics at its best.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a masterstroke, and it's kind of.
She was. I can share with you, she was not prepared for it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well.
And then when we were in the Oval Office, he had a bunch of media there. He had a bunch of his cabinet people there. I mean, it was a show. It was a spectacle, not by accident either.
Genius. The art of the deal. Michigan going to keep going red? Yeah. Is Michigan going to keep going red?
I think
solid state? Solid state this last election? Let's look at the numbers here. Okay. So here we go. All right. I mean, it's a little too close for me, but Trump wins,
Yeah. Look at the blue areas, which is really interesting I think it's going to go red. And I think it's going to go red because of a couple reasons. I'm going to give you one fact that I think is really critical. Michigan ranks number 3 behind California and New York for manufacturing jobs lost. People are fleeing the state. We got redistricted because we had people leave the state because of job opportunities, right? What people care about in the state of Michigan is economics, kitchen table. They want to be able to go to work, and honest days work, honest days pay, all of that. They care less about the social issues. They want to be able to provide for their family. They don't need to hear all of the noise. They want to know, what are you doing to help my family? They believe in President Trump because of what he did his first term. And if you look at what's happening now, let's take a look in my district. He just brought back $2 billion of investments to the Lake Orion plant in my district for, wait for it, ICE engined vehicles. No electric, ICE engines. That's a big deal. That's a bonus. That's over, I think it's 2,500 jobs and $2 billion of investments in my community. Are you kidding me? How do you not celebrate that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's economics. You know, you can say he's a bad man. You can say, put whatever lie they want to put out there, the Democrats. But at the end of the day, they're going to remember, well, I just got 2,500 more jobs in my district and a $2 billion investment. I'll take a couple mean tweets and 2,300 new jobs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what does the other side have? I mean, Kamala brought Lizzo and Eminem, on stage in Michigan.
Paid him.
Yeah, that's right. It's shocking that Lizzo didn't work. It didn't work out in Michigan. It's a real shame. You can have your job back and like a good, decent life, or you can have Lizzo lecturing you from a private jet.
Yeah, Kamala has Izzo. Trump has Kid Rock. I can share with you, Michigan, we're going the Kid Rock route.
Yeah, okay. Hold on just a second. Hold on. In our studio, we still have our vintage Kid Rock for Senate hat. We still have it. We still have the Kid Rock when he was toying with a Michigan run for Senate. We still have it in the studio, a throwback from 2018.
That's
okay,
awesome.
So quickly here, the House. We've been talking about left-wing violence, something that really people are very fatigued with. We saw yesterday the New York City comptroller get arrested. It's the same shtick. I'm going to punch and haul and brawl out on federal agents because I feel like, it's the George Floyd riots all over again. I can just punch a cop, right? And you can't just punch a cop, and that's not good. That's like a terrible thing. Like, it's one thing for a hooligan to do it. It's a different thing for like members of Congress, Alex Padilla, LaMonica McIver, elected Democrats to be modeling that you can just punch cops or pull fire alarms, right? Like that's a terrible thing to show the American people. It'd be nice to see like some teeth put to this in the House. You would be in charge of what potentially would happen to LaMonica McIver, who is now been indicted on 3 different counts, is facing 17 years in prison for punching and fighting and resisting arrest and punching a federal officer. What's the Republican conference going to do to LaMonica McIver?
We believe in law and order, and we have, I think there needs to be swift and just punishment for people. We are supposed to be above the law. I think we should be held to even a higher standard as a public elected official, not a lower standard. So that is one of the things that is on the table right now that we're talking about in closed door sessions is what is the consequence to the action? Because unfortunately, what the Democrats do now, and this is why I'm saying we don't have a quick answer for this because we got to get it right. When we hold Democratic elected officials accountable, for example, like the gentleman that pulled the fire alarm, what the Democrats do is they make a spectacle of it. They bring these Congress people on the floor. They all rally behind them and sing songs. Okay, that's not exactly a punishment. We need legislation, exactly what you said, with teeth in it, that there is a consequence to their action. To me, you harm a law enforcement officer, there should be a higher standard of penalty than anything, period. Like there should be a minimum. You touch a law enforcement officer, you should have X as your sentence, period. Yes. End of conversation, no questions asked. I mean, this is like your child getting in trouble in school and you're blaming the teacher. No, so, your child, I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but go ahead.
Are you in favor of stripping her of her committees, kicking her out of Congress? Like, what's the process here? Because we all watch George Santos get kicked. We all watch George Santos. George Santos gets indicted, and he gets kicked out of Congress. And Republicans lose a seat when there was no, lose a congressman. But like Republicans voted to kick George Santos out because, well, he was indicted. All right, fine. We're not trying to relitigate that. But now you have the exact same situation, but far worse, obviously. She's punching and hitting an ICE officer. Right. So would you be in favor of kicking her out of Congress?
I think that's a little bit of a slippery slope. That's why I want to make sure we get it right, because I still believe in due process. I still believe you're innocent until proven guilty. So it's a very slippery slope with the word indicted, even though we have the video. Now, the difference I would point out is we clean up our own locker room. The Democrats, they encourage that behavior. That's the major, major difference. So, but I do think if you get charged, or excuse me, if you get convicted, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different story there. Then I think we absolutely need to talk about, do we really want a convicted criminal representing the people? I personally, Lisa McClain, say no. And I think upon conviction, I think we have every right to bring that up and to kick them out of Congress. But that's my voice, not for the conference.
I understand you have to thread the needle, and I understand that. They indicted Trump, right? They indicted Trump like 42 different times. You know, so I understand that rule. I do get it. And members of Congress have been on explaining, but we want to continue to push this because we think this is a horrible thing to model. You know, it's a terrible thing to model.
What would be really nice is if the Democrats cleaned up their own locker room. Listen, I played sports my whole life, and that was a critical piece. You had a captain of the team for a reason. You had players on the team that cleaned up their own locker room. The Democrats don't do that. They encourage that behavior, which is crazy to me. But that's what we're living with.
But you know, so you know, yeah, you're right. Whatever. Like Democrats are never, you know, they're hive mind, right? They're central planners at heart in their bones, and so they're never gonna like stray. The model of critical thinking is so tight and so small of accepted divergence from opinion that like you're always going to get lockstep, you know, and so it's incumbent on us to like put the pressure on. So it'd be great to see.
No King's Day. I think the Democrats were really talking about themselves, right?
Well, yeah, this is a much bigger problem, and then more importantly, like that everyone saw the LA riots. They've lost, you know, they really have lost the will of the people on that stuff, and there's total fatigue. Okay, one other final thing that was brought up by Anna Paulina Luna. She said, "I'd like to subpoena George Soros because he has wreaked havoc upon our nation, our open borders, and we don't want foreign billionaires to be funding the kind of riots that took place in LA or the open border or criminality in our elections." Would you be in favor of that? Would you be in favor of a George Soros subpoena?
I would absolutely. Anna Paulina Luna is absolutely not wrong on that. And that's what we need to take a look at. I mean, we have rules of engagement for members of Congress, no different than we take a look at China and their involvement. Why wouldn't we take a look at foreign actors playing nefariously in the LA riots, for example? We need to take a good long look at that. She is not wrong.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? It's been wonderful to interview you. You can always like feel the energy in an interview. I can tell you're a lot of fun, and I'm from the Midwest too. I'm from Iowa, so like we always get along. Best place in America. You know, the number one place you'd want to have a flat tire is frankly in any Midwestern state. Good people will help you out, right?
That is 100% true. It may take a minute for someone to find you, but they'll once they find you, they're going to help you out.
That's right, and take you to whatever. In Iowa, it'd be a Come and Go, which is the name of the gas station. No joke there for Kamala Harris.
Okay. Right.
But like, what's the gas station in Michigan? Well, where would be like the classic Michigan place to take you for a hot meal?
You know, we would take you to a Speedway gas station is where we'd take you.
Speedway, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Unless you're in a real rural area, then we just take you to the local mom and pop gas station. So.
All right.
They change your tire for free probably too, but.
Shout out to Speedway. All right. I hope to get to one of these days. All right. Thank you so very much, Congresswoman. Right. It's been a joy to talk to you.
Have a great day.
All right.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
Enjoyed it.
Everyone follow the Congresswoman right here. She got 55,000 followers on X. Make sure we're fighting with the people who are fighting for us. Godspeed, Congresswoman.
Thank you.
Fun, you know, it's fun. You just rip roaring. You're making sure, like, well, make a little bit of news. We're gonna keep pushing on this stuff. We're like a dog with the bone. Okay, that's the problem with guys like me who went to community college, is that we don't weave particularly complex threads. You know, I got no strings to hold me down. That's the problem for these people. We got no corporate investment. Okay? We got no hedge fund that like runs our show. We don't have a bunch of investors from the oil companies. All right? We're just letting her rip. We own our show. It's just us. So we can ask these questions. We can have these conversations. We can crack these jokes, and we can like have tough conversations about like George Soros, LaMonica McIver, and like ask what we want. And more importantly, what you want. We ask what the chat wants. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen. So what does the chat want? Oh man, we got some interesting clip here. I can't believe I'm about to do it, but I'm going to show you a clip from The View. And it's The View like you've never seen it before. It's The View with a guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger on it. And I'm not saying Arnold Schwarzenegger's MAGA, okay? Arnold Schwarzenegger is a guy who said, screw your freedoms, right, during COVID. But we're fighting a culture war. And to have somebody of his fame on The View, like absolutely savaging the anti-ICE protesters and savaging the criminal aliens that come here and behave like criminals in this country on The View, and then to watch the gasping of The View witches and shrews is really a sight to behold. Ladies and gentlemen, to like dovetail into kind of our open and to the overall total fatigue that Americans have with criminal aliens and with this criminality and with these riots, I give you The View, Arnold Schwarzenegger, an incredible clip. Here we go.
Yourself, you are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Yeah. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
Arnold, don't forget.
It's amazing that we've like come to this point, right? Like that should be implicit in any country's immigration policy, that you're not going to welcome in degenerates and criminals and the refuse of the third world, like that's not obviously how you build a functional society. It's not how you build a high trust society. But in this modern political landscape, we're going to take the W's. Again, I'm not saying that John Fetterman is MAGA. I'm not saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger is MAGA. Arnold Schwarzenegger said a bunch of dumb things. Fetterman's done too. But what you have to do is you have to create sort of a constellation of people who you can work with, even if they don't agree with you 100% of the time. I don't want Tucker and Bannon and Trump to be enemies. I don't want Trump and Elon to be enemies. You don't have to be best friends, and you don't have to agree 100% of the time. There's no such thing as someone you agree with 100% of the time. You need to find places where you can work together. You need to find moments like that where like the entire audience at The View like shrieks with applause when Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, you can't be a criminal. You have to love this place. You have to appreciate this land, and you have to give back to this land because it gave you so much. You can't just come here for free goodies and be a degenerate, obese slob and then light everything on fire. Good. Thank you. That's a positive. That's a W for culture. All right. So we're just going to celebrate those on this show. If you're totally black-pilled, then fine. I get it. Leave a comment. But we're gonna take the cultural wins. We're gonna sue for peace. Now, it's a little bit of an open war that has been started between Tucker, Bannon, Trump. Trump's kind of like done a little chin music to Tucker. Tucker and Bannon are like hitting back against the neocons inside of Trump's administration, like warning against the destruction of Trump's legacy. What they see as the potential destruction of his legacy is if Donald Trump goes to war and gets us involved in another foreign war. Now, the way Tucker says it is, I know George Bush. George Bush had all these big grand plans, and the worst people in his administration, the war pigs, dragged George Bush, into war. And that's all he'll ever be remembered for. No one will ever remember him for anything other than Iraq. That's it. That's it. Mission accomplished banner. George Bush lands on a aircraft carrier. That's all anyone will ever remember. And those the abject failures of those missions. No one will care about anything else. And Tucker's warning Trump away from that and saying you do not want to be defined by that. That can't be your defining thing. Frankly, a lot of people will remember Joe Biden. And if you punch out 5 years, a lot of people are going to remember like the Ukraine war, the war with Russia, like these forever wars. A lot of people are going to be like, F that man. This was garbage. This cost us $300 billion, a bunch of lives, and it's just terrible. Tucker did an interview with Bannon. Bannon did an interview with Tucker. Now there's hours of content there. We've watched all of it. All of it. It's over 2.5 hours of content between those two interviews. I have found what I believe to be the most interesting nugget. I want to play it for you. It's a direct through line into what's happening right now. From our conversation about criminal aliens right through this war in Iran. And in this succinct clip, Tucker and Bannon are able to connect the two quite beautifully. And to talk about the riots in LA, the criminal aliens here in this country, right through to the what they call a massive distraction with this Iran war. Iran's been days away from a nuclear bomb for 30 years, okay? Since I was born. Like, that's been the news. So now, suddenly, right here, at the epoch of Trump, like, winning the deportation battle and putting down the riots in LA, now this war pops off? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm suspicious of it. I don't like it. We've been perfectly honest with you about two things. One, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear bomb. Ain't nobody does. I've never heard anybody make that argument. That's an argument that's really hard to make. That Iran needs a nuclear bomb. No, I don't want that. But I don't want a war, like Trump didn't run on regime change or further wars in the Mideast. And so there's going to have to be like a middle ground here on this. And more importantly, there's going to have to be big, honest conversations with the American people about what's best for us. Because what I think is best is codifying the Trump agenda here domestically. Deportation of 100 million, that's a little high. Deportation, I don't think there's 100 million criminal aliens. Deportation of 10 plus million criminal aliens. Center for Immigration Studies says there's 15 million criminal aliens living in America today. Okay, let's deport all them first. And then we'll have a conversation about what we should do in the Mideast, right? Okay. I see that as a much more severe threat to our nation than anything that Iran's doing. But let's listen to people that are much wiser, smarter than me, the people who built very much the architecture and infrastructure from a policy and a messaging perspective for America First. Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson explaining here what they think is really going on. Let's go.
Hey, so let me ask you, you've made a couple of allusions. I almost don't want to ask you because it's upsetting, but to the country coming apart.
Yeah.
To conflict here. Clearly, there's been a rise in violence. This weird Minnesota story, which I'm not even going to ask you about because I don't understand it at all. I don't think anybody does. But I want to ask you about what's happening in California. It does seem like resisting federal authority on immigration is an act of sedition more profound than anything they did at Fort Sumter in 1861. And this is not resolved. Like, what are we watching right now in California with Gavin Newsom?
You're from D.C. I'm from Richmond.
Yeah.
I'm raised in Richmond. And I keep telling people, I thought we settled this about federal law and states' rights and succession in the mid-1860s. We had a civil war to determine the outcome of this. We've had that discussion. We've had that argument. It's been settled. I said this to President Trump in the first term, that this whole thing of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states is absolutely a neo-Confederate, mentality.
Yes.
That you can have. And Gavin Newsom, right?
Have you said that on War Room?
Yes, I've
That
said
it's
it.
neo-Confederate?
He's
so smart.
It's a neo-Confederate.
It is. That's exactly
Look,
what it is.
Jackson.
I'm stealing that, by the way.
No, because
so good.
Jackson, look, you had this thing before the Civil War with Andrew Jackson and John C. Calhoun.
Yeah.
On tariffs, where remember, the landed aristocracy in South Carolina were some of the richest people. I think Charleston had more what would be equivalent to billionaires at the start of the Civil War than any place on earth.
And it shows in the Battery down
Battery,
there.
it's a magnificent city
It is.
today. John C. Calhoun, as his vice president, was going to stop and go down and defend South Carolina. Said, we're not going to do these tariffs. And Jackson said, I'm going to call the army down there. And if Calhoun's defying me, I'm going to hang him from the first lamppost. I mean, Jackson was a guy who was going to take immediate action. What's happening in California is kind of the equivalent. You've had the sanctuary cities. And if President Trump had not sent the troops in and federalized the National Guard, what happened in L.A. was what we see in all these cities. It would have exploded. It would have been the summer of love of 2025, where there was a lot more rhetoric than actually action. One of the reasons President Trump had Bill Barr and Esper and all these people that wouldn't execute what he wanted. Now he's got a team, and that's why I'm so glad he came out last night and says, I'm doubling and tripling down the rates. My recommendation on the show the day after this stuff happened over that weekend was President Trump ought to triple the ICE raids, and he ought to go to schools. Hey, they got to go, right? They have to go, and it's not pleasant. We got to be very humane about it, but you have to have a show of force. And if you need to send in the Army, if you need to send it federalize the National Guard, we have to do it. California is the railhead of this. That's why you have to break it there. It's going to obviously pop up in Chicago and New York, but you have to take, and Stephen Miller said this, and I've known Stephen a long time. Andrew and Stephen Miller and Ben Shapiro, Alex Martin, they all came out of kind of West L.A., right? Ben may have been the Valley, but they're all West L.A. guys. Stephen Miller's been saying since the time I knew him, the war for America is going to be won or lost on the streets of Los Angeles. He said this now for almost 20 years. And this is what this fight, and this is what's so disturbing about the timing. We're totally focused on that, and President Trump actually implementing the deportations of mass deportations. And all of a sudden, this thing breaks out in Persia, in the Middle East, and now the whole country is just focused on that. It's almost like a time diversion to get our attention.
It does feel that way.
Because Bibi gave it up. It didn't have to happen on Thursday night. We were told, it was leaks. Oh, there's a bomb, and they're going to have it. And, this is something they have to have immediately. He comes on Brett Baier and says, well, it's 12 or 13 months. We've heard the 12 or 13 months for 20 years. Maybe it is 12 or 13 months, but that doesn't mean you have to act on Friday. Why is it Thursday and Friday when we're in the middle of actually the most important part of this third world war is the 10 million invaders we've had in this country, or 20 million according to President Trump. They all have to go. You understand that there's many bad actors that came in on this, right, that are now sleeper cells in this country. Everybody's got to go, and we have to do it. That is when I talk about third world war, the central battlefront for the United States of America is internal to the United States of America. This is why we have to focus on this in the timing, because there's no coincidences of how all of a sudden we're asked to do bombing runs in Iran, a half a world away, and it sucks up all the media attention that there's not even a discussion on this. And that's why President Trump coming out and doubling down. And Homan and Stephen Miller, there ought to be 3 more raids tomorrow, and we got to get the focus back on that.
This MFer spitting fire. Man, it's amazing to listen to our worldview get created, the constellation, the intellectual rigor of our worldview get built in real time. the iron and the bones of the structure of America First, that getting welded together in real time by Bannon and Tucker, it's remarkable. And of course, the beating heart of that movement is President Trump. President Trump knit the white letters on the red hat. So I don't want them as enemies. And they're warning this off against us, saying the timing is incredibly suspicious. It's very strange, and it's distracting from the true let's call it a nuclear bomb, a demographic, political, and cultural killing nuclear bomb that is already here in America. Don't you see? The real nuclear bomb is already planted here with 20 million criminal aliens who are behaving criminally and proving to us that they'll burn down your city and mine in order to get what they want. And so, ladies and gentlemen, lock in, ensure that you're on the right side of history. Pray for peace, please. Prayer is very important in these times. And ensure that you keep praying. We don't want there to be any further escalation. We know, as Donald Trump said, as Tucker says, that this could be like very era defining. I think that there's a lot of good energy based on the calls that we've been having with teams that are very close to the president and close in. Donald Trump does not want to be the warmonger, war pig president, and also more importantly, he's well aware that a lot of the people who are pushing for this, were perfectly okay with impeaching him, and are the never Trumpers that like ran sideways against him, right? And so exactly, can somebody explain to me like how that helps President Trump? How does it help President Trump to fracture the MAGA base? It doesn't. And if there's one thing that I know about this administration in particular, it's how dead set and focused they are on keeping that coalition together. Notice how President Trump reacted with the Elon sort of crash out. You know, he was remarkably composed, didn't really personally go after Elon, has now made multiple olive branch ovations to Elon, and it's been a beautiful thing to see it all sort of like coalesce back together. Don't lose that coalition because it's a winning coalition. Tucker's and Bannon's and the Elons and like the broad wings of the party, like the RFKs, the Democrats that voted for Trump, the Maha moms, like all of it. It's this massive constellation. The one people I'd be perfectly happy ejecting from all of that are the war pig neocons. The Lindsey Grahams, perfectly happy to put him in the ejector seat and pull the lever myself. All right? Be happy to do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you should pull a lever when it comes to ensuring that you have cellular service that supports your right to free speech, right to the Second Amendment, right to thinking freely, speaking freely. Kind of important, honestly, in your cell phone carrier. Patriot Mobile is our cell phone carrier on this program, the backbone of our connectivity to you on the road. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. You can switch today without sacrificing any quality or service. They're available on all 3 major networks. Unlimited data plans. They fit your lifestyle. They are able to lock in for us all the time when we are on the road. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of service. Promo code Benny. Make the switch today. Defend freedom with every single call or text you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. All right. So I did want to play you, since we're on the Tucker conversation here, I did want to play you the number one clip on the internet right now. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are watching should not startle you. What you see with Elon and Trump and with Tucker and Bannon and Trump, what you're seeing is the fires and the forging of a brand new and durable ideological movement that has a base to it, that has function to it, and that has clarity on where we're going, how we operate. You must have that. There's major welding going on. In order to weld something and create something new, you got to melt it down first. You got to cool it, build it back up, carve it to pieces. It takes real muscle. And that's what's happening. It's a good thing. These questions about whether we plunge our country into forever wars, those are nation killers. That's been the downfall of every empire. The Greeks, the Romans, the Persians, ironically. That's the wars of adventurism that stretch the empire too thin and collapse it from the inside. If you're looking at Rome because of too many criminal aliens, it's remarkable. It's the exact same way that Rome fell. Rome's army was stretched too thin. They brought in too many criminal aliens, too many foreigners into Rome. Those foreigners pulled out and strip mined the resources, the scant resources of what was left of a dying Roman Empire, and it would total and complete collapse. And you're seeing the sort of breaking point right now. Tucker Carlson is in Washington, D.C. Tucker Carlson did an interview with Ted Cruz, and hot damn, is it something. Now, Tucker dropped a teaser for that interview right now. It is burning up the internet. It's done millions and millions of views. And all Tucker does is explain, hey, Senator, you're calling for war with Iran, but you don't know anything about Iran. And perhaps you should learn something about the demographics and the makeup of the country before we go in and level the place, because it's going to become our problem if we do that. The exchange is remarkable. I'm sure you'll understand why this is the most viral clip on the entire internet right here.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
Who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel. High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
I'm not one for gotcha questions, but I don't think it's a gotcha question. I'm going to make the principled argument on Tucker's behalf here that the reason why the population of Iran and the makeup of their people is so important is because of exactly what happened with neocon war pigs, with Afghanistan, Iraq. We will be welcomed as liberators. Remember Dick Cheney said? It is my firm belief that we'll be welcomed as liberators. What happened next? Jackass created ISIS. That's what happened. You created sectarian violence, warring tribes with tens of millions of people that don't like each other, that then decided to slaughter each other, slaughter a bunch of Christians, blow up Christian churches. Then that bled over into Syria. And then what happened? Oh, that created the migrant crisis in Syria, where tens of millions of Syrian Muslims then were relocated to where? Not China, not Israel, not India, Europe. They were plunged deep into the hearts of Paris and London and Brussels, and you created a migrant crisis that, of course, is now going to lead to the total fall of Europe. 1,000 years after Europe had conquered Muslim armies and kicked them out of Europe, now they've been welcomed back, thanks to American neocons. A totally and complete peaceful coup without a shot being fired in Europe. Go check in on these great European cities. They're not European anymore. So then what happens if you trigger that? That's Iraq. That's a country of 20 million. Iran's 5 times bigger. So obviously you need to ask the question, if you level the place, where do they all go? If you create total and complete sectarian dysfunction and you create a brand new ISIS, what the hell happens? It's a totally and completely logical line of questioning from Tucker. People are attacking Tucker this morning for that. People are saying, wow, Tucker, how could you? Who cares? Trivia with Tucker, right? No, man. It's a great line of questioning because you need to ask, what happens next? So after Lindsey Graham gets his rocks off, right, with all the, with his bombing special sock, what happens next? What happens to 100 million people who are then bombed into poverty and starving? I can guarantee you what's going to happen. Leftist NGOs, the George Soros types who are pushing this, are going to call for 100 million Muslims to be then airdropped into Western countries. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. It's crazy, man. Like, what a logical line of question that is, and also how poorly Ted Cruz performed there. You gotta think through these steps. That's what being an adult is. That's what being a man is. You have to think a couple steps ahead. What are going to be the consequences of my actions? What will it mean at the bar if I spill my drink on this guy? Does that end up with me having no teeth in my mouth by the end of the night? Bloody on the sidewalk? I'm going to think through my actions here. Do I want to start this fight? Ladies and gentlemen, we pray for peace for this exact reason. The destabilization of this region has led to nothing but horror and chaos throughout the Western world. It has bankrupted the West. It has led to open and unlimited, infinite immigration from these regions into Western countries. And we are at a precipice. We can't have it. You can't have it. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump on Iran this morning, very happy about this answer. Donald Trump was at the new flagpoles that he's installing in the White House. So he's out on the White House lawn. They're wearing the old white MAGA hat. And the president is saying, listen, the whole purpose of all of this was to get Iran to negotiate. Good. Fine. You can't negotiate from a position of weakness. You must negotiate from a position of strength. The art of the deal, speaking here.
About whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you gotta do something. You gotta negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that, and they got hit. Remember 60 days, and then came the 60. 61 is going to become a very famous number. That was one hell of a hit. That first hit, that was one hell of a hit. Not sustainable, to be honest. That's where it ended. It ended on the first night. Yes.
Is it too late, though? Do you think it's too late to now?
Really, nothing's too late. The only thing too late is Powell. Powell's too late. Too late, Powell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you, Mr. President?
Too late, Powell. President Trump saying that Iran has reached out to him, and they're asking to de-escalate. Very good. And they're asking for peace. Very good. Here we go.
The Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did they say?
I said it's very late. I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President.
We may meet. It's. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
In case you're wondering if President Trump is not in control, he's making boner jokes also. So Good. To the Ayatollah? I'm not sure exactly. But here's President Trump making an erection joke this morning from the White House lawn. Let's go.
Have a good, they call it a lifting. They also use another word, but I'm not going to use that word. You know what that is? The word, it starts with an E. You know what the word is? If I ever used it, I'd be run out of town by you people. All right, so enjoy it. Duck, you're going to get some good. He's going to win another Nobel Prize, I think, for this picture. So maybe the flag will be even more exciting. But this is pretty exciting. That's some equipment, I'll tell you what.
President Trump was about to say that he wanted to rig an erection. Incited an erection. That's what it is. We have the clip. Thank you, team. Thank you. Just, I don't know, just save it permanently, I guess. This is one of many, by the way, but what's on Chuck Schumer's mind?
If they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
When we say that Democrats have a hard-on for Trump, that's what we mean. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Donald Trump, in command, in control. The doomsday plane has gone to D.C. Yikes. Here we go. Trump's doomsday plane makes unusual trip as Iran wars escalate. President Trump emergency command aircraft was caught making a mysterious flight from Louisiana to Maryland. The Boeing E-4B Night Watch, also known as the doomsday plane, serves as a flying command center for the Security Council and key officials in times of crisis. It is now in Washington, D.C., at Joint Base Andrews. This is, of course, where the president takes off. It's a very cool-looking plane. You can show this sucker. It's a wild-looking plane. I got a little orca bump up there at the top. Not sure what that is. Very neat. Don't have many photos of it, frankly, for good reason. But it's President Trump's operational command center in times of crisis. But we hope, of course, for de-escalation here. 15-megaton bomb needed to destroy Iran's last nuclear facility. Here's why Israel can't deliver it. This is openly calling for the president to strike Iran. I'm telling you that I hope it doesn't happen. I really do. We don't need it. I don't think anyone voted for it. I think there's clearly better ways to bridge this crisis than America bombing and regime changing more Middle Eastern countries. We're just not going to change our positions on that. Although, much like with J.D. Vance's post yesterday, J.D. Vance made a post yesterday where he's like, listen, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Please understand that Donald Trump's been consistent on that since the 1980s in interviews with Oprah. Like, this is what the president said time and time again. And there's nobody who can honestly make the argument that they should. Okay, so if we can all agree with that, let's also all agree that we don't want more idiotic foreign wars, which is what JD says here. And you got to assume that JD has the presidency or probably more than any single person right on all of this. So if you scroll down to the very bottom here, probably his last, he's just making the argument here that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, that Donald Trump's been consistent on that, and I dig that. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping a military focus on protecting our troops and protecting our citizens. He may decide he needs to take further action to end Iranian enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglements after 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. I believe the president has earned trust on this issue. He's having seen this up close and personal. I can assure you that he's only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus. Okay. You know what? We're going to trust the plan. We're going to trust the plan. That's it. All right. But, man, people are making fools of themselves. It's crazy over all this. Be very, very wary of the people who are trying to break up MAGA. This is what we said with Elon, the Elon thing. Like, there are these bad actors who are always constantly looking to break our movement apart and to fracture this great movement and to hurt us by doing that. Don't let them do it. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. In any war, everyone in the war, everyone fighting the war is going to tell you that they are the ones on the side of the angels. Whatever war it is. Pick a war. Each side thinks they're on the side of the angels. All right? When really the reality is that the vast majority of wars are two demons fighting each other, and you don't want any part of that. So pray for peace, ladies and gentlemen. Blessed are the peacemakers. Please make peace with our program and subscribe to our RSS feed. You can do us a favor today. It's totally free. And if you subscribe to our RSS feed, it's simple as one single click. It's right there. There's the get that right. There's the QR code. My arms don't work that way. Little Velociraptor arms. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Benny Show right there on BennyJohnson.com. You can head on over there and just click a button, and you're subscribed, and it'll help us out. Stay strong. Our verse of the day for strength for you. From Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression. Learn to do good. That's exactly right. It is a learning moment for so many people here. We want justice, correct oppression. Make sure we take care of our lands, man. Take care of our lands. Take care of our homes first. That's what we're calling for on this program. And we're calling for you to have an excellent hump day here on Wednesday. March with us. The victory, ladies and gentlemen, is guaranteed. We win in the end. All right? It's your boy, Benny. See ya.
You might be wondering how I got here. Well, everybody knows that when you play stupid games, you win a free ride to Mexico.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
I'll tell you the tale of an old boat that was sent to war a few days retirement. Go Nimitz, go! Beware of where you stick your nose. You must dodge the false flag that will drag us into war. Don't open the door, world war rests on your shoulders. Listen, my critics and quick-witted cynics, beware of the hobbits, shekels and big all my in orbits, reaching lyrical limits, spitting it ain't timid, screaming don't sink the limits. Save the Nimitz, don't stick out your nose. Save the Nimitz, days from retirement. But guess what, everything will be okay. Guess what day it is, it's hump day. Oh, hump day, oh, hump day,
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal reads. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind, the salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. Show come to mind, the salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.